Abundant living through travel can enrich your life and bring you a greater sense of fulfillment and abundance. Travel can expose you to new cultures, ways of life, and perspectives, and help you to grow and learn in ways that you might not have been able to otherwise. For many people, travel is a source of inspiration and rejuvenation. By immersing themselves in new environments and experiencing the world in a fresh and exciting way, you are able to recharge your batteries, gain new insights and perspectives, and return to your daily lives with renewed energy and enthusiasm. Ultimately, abundant living through travel is about embracing the opportunities that the world has to offer and recognizing that there is always more to discover and explore. Travel can be a powerful tool for personal growth, self-discovery, and living a life of abundance. Join Abundant Excursions Incorporated and explore how you can live abundantly through travel. Abundant Excursions Incorporated presents Abundant Living Through Travel series. Join us now.
Without further ado, I am wanting to introduce you to our guest speaker for this afternoon. It's Christy. Christy is with South Africa Tourism. And just a quick fun fact, Christy is from the south suburbs of Chicago. So we connected a couple of months ago. I reached out to her via email. And so during that communication, we found out that she's actually from the area that I actually grew up. Well, I didn't grow up, but where I moved when I first moved out to the south suburbs of Chicago. So that's a fun fact. All right. Well, Christy, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to hearing what you have to talk about as far as South Africa is concerned.
All right. Thanks, Angela. Thanks for inviting me on today. I'm excited to take everybody on a quick virtual journey of South Africa. And thanks for the mention about being from the south suburbs. I noticed when Angela emailed me that she had a 708 area code, and I'm from 708 originally, so I thought that was pretty cool. So if anybody went to Rich South, maybe we know each other. So let me share my screen now, and we'll tell you a little bit about South Africa, and then feel free to save all your questions at the end, and we would be happy to answer them for you. So I'd like to invite everybody to meet South Africa today. So let's start with some basic geographic info. So South Africa is on the southern coast of the African continent, and it's a big country. It's about twice the size of Texas. South Africa has nearly 2,000 miles of coastline from the Atlantic Ocean on the west side, and then about halfway down the country in the center, it changes into the Indian Ocean, and that will be on the east side. So South Africa's got a lot of different ecosystems. It's got mountains, deserts, beaches, coasts, and then lots of savannas, which make it a great place for safari and wildlife viewing. The currency is the South African rand, which the code is ZAR. And the rand hovers at around 15 to 18 to 1 against the US dollar on average. So there is just incredible value for money there. You will be shocked to see how far your dollar stretches, which is one of the great sort of hidden surprises when you're traveling in South Africa. Most major credit cards are accepted, so it's easy to do transactions. I think it's easiest to get cash, on arrival in the ATM and use your credit card as needed. So it's very easy. And the population of South Africa is 60 million, warm, welcoming, and very diverse people. And the major cities are Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban. So it could not be easier to get to South Africa because there are no shots needed and no visas for anybody staying up to 90 days. And all the COVID restrictions were lifted back in June of 2022. So The country has been, receiving international tourists for quite a while since the start of the pandemic. So everything's running pretty smoothly there in that sense. So let's talk about seasonality. So since I am originally from the Chicago area, I know how important it is to get out of town in the winter. And South Africa is in the Southern Hemisphere, so we've got opposite seasons there. So if you like to travel in the winter time in the US, it is summertime in South Africa during that time. So it's a really, really nice time to go. The ecosystem varied. So, depending on which part of the country you're in, there will be different weather. So like, for example, on the Durban side, on the East Coast, it's tropical, lots of sunshine. And I like to compare that area to Florida. And then Cape Town and the western side on the Atlantic Ocean has got a Mediterranean climate. So it's more like California there. But to overgeneralize, the varied temperature range is going to be like, let's say 40s to 90s, depending on where you are and what season. And that's just a long-winded way of saying that there's not really a bad time to go, even if you're not going there in summer, because the temperature and the climate is pretty mild. And I would say compared to California, essentially, and that, the winter time is not always the best time to go, but it's also not a terrible time to go because it's still going to be a lot of warm and sunny days. Now, a couple of fun facts about South Africa. You might be surprised to learn that there are actually 11 official languages, and lots more languages are spoken in South Africa, but English is one of them, so you shouldn't expect to have communication barriers. There are 9 provinces, kind of South Africa's version of states, so there's lots to see and do. It's a big country. And South Africa has had democracy since 1994. And in the late 90s, South Africa also brought forth the world's most progressive constitution at the time, which is really, really cool to see. It granted equal rights to all people, and even including protections for sexual orientation, which was really rare at that time in history. And so South Africa is very LGBT friendly. It also hosted the World Cup in 2010, which really brought South Africa to the world stage in a major way. And tourism has really been increasing, especially from the US, ever since, steadily since then. The country has pretty incredible infrastructure, Wi-Fi throughout, even in most remote safari lodges. Not that you want it there because you really kind of want to tune out if you can and just kind of enjoy being immersed in nature. And you can, a few notable South Africans that you may have heard of, Nelson Mandela, probably the most famous South African in history, Desmond Tutu, Trevor Noah, Elon Musk is actually from South Africa, believe it or not, and Charlize Theron, all famous South Africans. So let's talk about the food. The food is incredible, and this comes as a very pleasant surprise to lots of travelers who really don't know what to expect. But you'll find, fresh, organic, spiced, familiar, and just a wide range of different types of foods. Everything from South African fast food chains to celebrity chefs with, multi-course tasting menus. It's an easy country to eat in if you have dietary restrictions. So vegans, vegetarians, pescatarians have no trouble eating in South Africa. Even gluten-free is easy to accommodate. Now, if you're a meat eater, you will be pretty much in heaven in South Africa when you attend a braai, which is South Africa's version of a barbecue. And there are lots of interesting exotic meats to try. A few things that are unique that you may or may not have heard of, but it's biltong. It's the picture on the left, and that's kind of South Africa's version of beef jerky. Bunny chow is pictured on the right. It is not made of bunnies. It is a curried spice dish where you can put meats or vegetables in it. It's made in a bread bowl. There's also Cape Malay cuisine, rooibos tea, which you can get in latte form by ordering the red latte, and wines. So we could pretty much spend the whole presentation talking about the wine region and wines. Wines have actually been farmed in South Africa for 364 years. So there's just incredible options for wine tasting. There's a wine region that's rivals the Napa Valley that's near Cape Town, and the price for the wine experience is just incredible. There's also some really cool emerging gin scenes as well. So a G&T, a gin and tonic, is like the classic drink to have on a sundowner, which is just a daily ritual of celebrating the sunset while you're on safari or even in Cape Town, you know, watching the sunset over the ocean with a drink in hand. That is a proper South African sundowner. So South Africa is often named in the top where to travel next lists by major publications. And this year is no different. So we've got lots of great press consistently to share about how amazing South Africa is. So I'll send these links to Angela that she can share with you if you want to see any of these. But since we were just talking about the food, it's important to say that Lonely Planet just listed us in the Best of Travel 2023 for the Eat category. And I've got some really great news about air access. So it has never been easier to get to South Africa from the US. We've got multiple new direct routes on United, which, you know, if you do live in Chicago and you're flying out of Chicago, great United hub, as you know. And we also have Delta. So Newark, IAD, Washington, DC, and Atlanta all have direct flights to Johannesburg and Cape Town. So just quick connection if you're not based in one of those cities on the East Coast, or if you're in Chicago, just to hop over to one of those US cities on the East Coast, and straight flight to South Africa. Now, there are lots of other options to get there. If you want to take a layover or even price shop for different fares. Turkish, Qatar, Emirates, various European carriers. You can even kind of stop and do a layover in any of these cities where any of these carriers are located, or even, you know, connect via Ethiopia, stop in Addis on the way. So lots of options, never been easier, which we're just so excited to see. Now I'd like to show you our video. This is called Live Again.
We'll be landing shortly in South Africa. It's another sunny day in Cape Town. I'm
So come as you are, leave as you'll never be again. That pretty much defines the South Africa experience. And did anybody, ever take a long break from traveling, especially during the pandemic, and then finally get out and take that big trip that just replenishes your soul and your spirit, and just makes you feel alive again? South Africa just sort of delivers that to you. So, travelers now are seeking deeper connections. They want cultural diversity, to be welcomed by, warm people that are truly interested in meeting you and having you in the country. So South Africa is just such a fantastic, revitalizing experience when you are ready to get back out there and take that big trip. So we've got our main categories of travel here, and these are just to illustrate this vast variety of experiences that are offered in South Africa. So these are sort of our categories, and we're going to look today at 24 top experiences that you can sort of look at as a menu of options. Now, there's a lot more to do in the country aside from these top experiences, but we're going to rotate through some of these just to show you some ideas of what you can do in South Africa. Starting with wildlife safari and wildlife viewing. So South Africa has some of the best wildlife viewing experiences on the planet. And the most famous wildlife park in South Africa is the Kruger National Park. It's about the size of New Jersey, so it's a large park, and it's easily accessible by air or road transfer. And it's made up of the public park and then private game reserves, where you'll find a lot of the safari lodges, where you'll probably end up staying. Now, we also have malaria-free reserves, and these are especially popular with families or travelers looking to explore the wildlife in different regions of the country. So there are lots of different options geographically around South Africa. And these reserves offer the same experience as the Kruger, with the Big Five and lots of incredible variety in wildlife viewing, alongside stunning landscapes underneath, this blanket of stars. South African safaris can pretty much be found within any travel budget. So we've got budget to ultra luxury and everything in between. So a lot of people have this misconception that South Africa is unaffordable, and they can't go on safari if they're, more budget conscious. That could not be farther from the truth. And if that's not a factor, and you want to stay in a private game reserve with private plunge pools, get an outdoor massage on the deck, with the soundtrack of the African bush outside, enjoying the gourmet meals and the wine, like this gentleman pictured here, that is also an option. And there's lots of properties in between the two experiences. So tons of options to get out into the bush and see the wildlife. And keep in mind that going on safari is a sustainable travel choice. You are participating in conservation by making that choice. So throughout the 20th century, areas like the Kruger National Park were set aside for conservation. And these partnerships were sort of public-private partnerships, sort of designated that safari tourism goes into conservation and community development. And these activities continue today, and probably even now more so than ever. So if that's interesting, if that's of interest to you, it's a travel choice that you can definitely feel good about. Now, on to the scenic outdoors category, starting with Table Mountain. And this is the iconic mountain, one of the 7 new wonders of nature, that is the backdrop to the city of Cape Town that you can see pictured here. Now, if you're super adventurous, you can hike Table Mountain, or you can take the cable car up to the top and enjoy views of the city and the coastline. It's really, really stunning up there. Or you can take a helicopter tour over Table Mountain and see all the views that way. Now, the winelands are about an hour and a half from Cape Town, depending on where you go. There are a few different wine towns. So we know that the culinary and the gourmet experience of the wine tasting there is incredible, but the scenic beauty is also sort of an often overlooked benefit to traveling to the winelands. As you can see here, there are these beautiful mountainous backdrops. And you can spend a lot of time sort of out doing, outdoor activities while enjoying, everything that the Winelands has to offer. The Blythe River Canyon is the world's third largest canyon, and it is the world's largest green canyon. And this is located quite close to the Kruger National Park. Depending on where you are in the Kruger, you could actually, on the way there, go via road trip and drive through the Blythe River Canyon through this stunning route called the Panorama Route. Or you can kind of leave for a day trip from Kruger and drive the canyon that way. If you're a hiker, if you're adventurous, you'll actually want to go and do some adventure travel experiences in this region. We also have luxury rail for ultimate scenic viewing of South Africa's landscapes. So this is Rovos Rail, and we also have the Blue Train. And both trains are sleeping, trains where you dine on gourmet meals and watch all the countryside pass by. And if you were to take the route that is between Johannesburg and Cape Town, they stop at the Kimberley Diamond Mine in the middle of the country, which is the largest diamond mine in the world. Now, our next category is coastal beaches. So I mentioned earlier, but just as a reminder, we have nearly 2,000 miles of beaches and coastline in South Africa, and over 50 blue flag beaches. And there are two oceans on the coast, the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean. And if you want to see that southernmost point of the continent of Africa where the two oceans meet, it's called Cape Agulhas. It's a few hours driving from Cape Town along this really epic road trip itinerary called the Garden Route. And you can stop there, see the point where the oceans meet, and there's actually a national park right around there where you can see lots of scenic beauty. So this is probably the most famous beach in South Africa. This is in Cape Town. This is Boulders Beach. And this is where the African land penguins live. So most visitors to Cape Town will plan a stop here and just kind of hang out on the beach, spend an afternoon there, walk this sort of boardwalk where you can get these amazing views of the penguins and just watch them waddle around the beach in all their cuteness. Now, South Africa is also one of the best destinations worldwide for watching whales and watching dolphins. And then every year between June and October, there is a migration of whales along the southern coast of Africa. And these are the southern right whales. And there's a city called Hermanus. This is about 2 hours from Cape Town. And this has got the best land-based whale watching in the world. So if you want to see the marine Big Five, in addition to the traditional Big Five on safari, this southern coast is the place you'll want to go. So South Africa is also a well-known international destination for surfing. And a lot of the surfing hotspots are around Cape Town, Durban, and Jeffreys Bay. So if you followed surfing at all, you might have heard of Jeffreys Bay, or people call it J Bay. It's like one of the most premier spots for surfing in the world. Or if you just want to kind of get in, enjoy the waves, learn how to surf, there's lots of points to do that as well for experts or beginners. Now let's move on to cultural experiences. So you can follow in the footsteps of Nelson Mandela across much of South Africa and learn all about his life and legacy. So no visit to Johannesburg is complete without stopping at the Apartheid Museum, which offers deep insight into the history and struggle against the apartheid regime in South Africa and Mandela's lifelong contributions to help pave the path for South Africa to become a stable democracy, which it's been since 1994. Also in Johannesburg, visit the township of Soweto to see the Mandela House, where he lived as a young man and professional. And you can even do a walking tour of downtown Johannesburg, see this beautiful giant Mandela mural and the law office where he used to work in the city. And then in Cape Town, you can visit Robben Island. So this is the island prison where Mandela spent 18 of his 27 years in prison. And most of the tours there are actually led by former political prisoners that spent time on the island. Now this pictured here, this is the Mandela capture site. This is in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, which is not far from Durban. And this is marked by this interactive sculpture. Now this sculpture is about 35 feet, and it's really interesting to see in person because depending on where you stand, it changes perspective. But when you look at it straight on, it makes this perfect image of Mandela's face. Now remember from earlier when we learned that South Africa has 11 official languages and lots more languages that are spoken. And a lot of the cultures, many cultures are depicted in cultural villages. So if you want to learn about the diverse people of South Africa, you can visit one of these villages. So some of them are, rural villages, and some of them are places like Lesedi Cultural Village, where lots of different ethnic groups are represented. So for example, you can visit a Zulu village, learn about Zulu traditional structures, political structures, enjoy interactive dancing, drumming, maybe learn spear throwing, local cuisine, or maybe up in the Northern Cape, visit a cultural center of the San people, learn about their history, spirituality, rock art paintings, and some of those date back thousands of years. And there you can hear the original click language as well. Now onto the Cradle of Humankind. So this is a UNESCO site about 30 miles from Johannesburg, and this is home to the largest concentration of human ancestral remains of anywhere in the world. So near there, you can visit this cave system called the Sterkfontein Caves and explore where they excavated a lot of these fossils of early humans. There's an incredible museum here, which is pictured here, that focuses on the development of early humans and our ancestors over the past few million years. So really cool stopover from Johannesburg. Now, township tours are an excellent way to learn about South Africa's vibrant culture and connect with local people. So the most well-known township is Soweto, where the Mandela House is located. Now you can dine, shop, visit art galleries, visit museums. You can even do a cycling tour around Soweto, which is a really cool way to visit. There are lots of different townships across South Africa that offer different tours. And just always make sure that you choose the township tours that are led by a local resident who lives there. And they're just the best suited to engage with you and show you all about where they're from. And it also helps to boost up and coming tourism enterprises. So really, really cool way to culturally connect with people. Now, on to the adventure category, starting with shark cage diving. So this is about as close as you will ever want to safely get to great white sharks and copper sharks. And here you can meet them face to face in a cage for the thrill of a lifetime. So the best place for this is in the Hansbaai. This is near the town of Hermanus that we talked about earlier, the whale watching capital. So a couple hours from Cape Town. Now, a little secret for you about shark cage diving is that you don't actually have to get in the cage to see the sharks. You can actually go on the boat and kind of watch from the top deck and see all the action from there. So that's another fun way to do it. And if you take the whale watching boat, if you want to see whales, you'll often see the activity of the shark cage diving. So you can usually spot a few sharks that way as well. Now, safari itself is, one of the ultimate adventures, but if you're a bit more adventurous, you might want to step out of the vehicle and take a guided bushwalk. Now, this is a really fun way to experience safari. You get out of the vehicle, you look for the tracks, the small animals, you learn about the flora and fauna, and occasionally you'll see a larger animal from a safe distance, of course. And as you can imagine, you'll only do a bushwalk when led by trained safari guides from the lodges in safe conditions. Now, South Africa is a mountainous country and there's a lot of amazing hiking. So the hiking capital is in the Drakensberg Mountains, and this is in the KwaZulu-Natal province, a few hours from the city of Durban on the East Coast. Now, there are trails here for all experience levels, and you can really spend a lot of time immersing with nature here in the Drakensberg. There are also 35,000 examples of sand rock art paintings in this region. Now, if you do like to hike, this is not the only place for hiking. There's hiking that can be found in the mountains all across the country, from the Cape to the desert regions in the Karoo, and a lot of areas in between. Now, there are 19 national parks in total in South Africa. So lots of beautiful, pristine nature to explore. This is the Blaukrans Bridge. This is the world's highest bungee jump at over 700 feet. Now, this is not the only bungee jump in the country, but it's probably the most famous. Coming in close would be the one that is in the Soweto Towers in the township of Soweto. There are these two beautiful colored water towers there with a really fun bungee jump in between. Now, there are so many other types of adventure activities in South Africa. So whether you like to cycle, do a cave tour, there's hot air ballooning, sandboarding, zip lining, canoeing. We pretty much have it all in that category if that's of interest to you. So our last category is city lifestyle, and we'll start with the city markets. So Cape Town, Johannesburg, and really even Durban have so much to offer in terms of these city markets. And these are just like a fun, casual way to grab a meal, check out local art, crafts, grab a drink, grab a coffee, and just kind of hang out and people watch. So there are lots of great markets in the city, and a lot of them are taking place on the weekends. So when you are traveling to South Africa and you do like city markets, work with Angela to make sure that your dates in the cities overlap with the weekends so you can spend some time in these. Now on to nightlife. So South Africa has lots of great experiences here for night owls. So we've got jazz clubs, there are lots of gin bars, breweries, there are rooftop bars, nightclubs, music venues, and South Africa pretty much has endless opportunities for some evening fun. We also get a lot of major concerts and events coming through South Africa every year. We're working on an events calendar as well, but always keep posted with Angela if you're interested to see what's going on in South Africa. And there's so much exciting nightlife and culture that you can connect with. So what you may not know is South Africa is also a leading art destination on the African continent. So if you are into art, you are definitely coming to the right place. So there's everything from fine art galleries, to boutique art galleries, to really interesting museums. So one museum that's newer is the Zeitz Mocha. It opened like 5-6 years ago. And this is a museum of contemporary African art, and it's located right in the V&A waterfront, right in the middle of the city of Cape Town. This is an absolute must-see if you like art. There are also lots of artisan craft markets and just really cool street art tours as well. So there's beautiful murals all over South Africa. So yeah, make sure you let Angela know if you are traveling and you like art so she can help put together some really cool art experiences for you. So South Africa's unique mix of cultures and fertile land has inspired lots of really inventive cuisine, and a lot of it is just unique and not seen anywhere else on earth. There's so many gourmet restaurants to choose from, and pretty much more restaurants and dining experiences than you're going to have time to try. And all these meals are paired with incredible South African wines. But don't forget, the value for money is outstanding. So you can really take the time to enjoy these restaurants every night of your South Africa experience, and it will not break the bank. And I promise you, the Nobu in Cape Town is the most inexpensive Nobu in the world. And now let's look at a short video that brings all these experiences together.
We see that you've been searching for safari. Well, you've come to the right place. We practically invented safari. The Big 5 safari guided game drives. You know the kind. Sipping on an ice-cold pink rooibos-infused cooler as you watch the ripe pink African sunset. Yeah, safari. Our name is even in the word, safari. But that's not the only safari we have. No. We have them all. Food safaris, wine safaris, desert safaris, jumping off things safaris, surfing safaris, mountain safaris, cruising down hill safaris, jaw-dropping safaris. Enter the jungle safaris. Street safaris, culture safaris. And what about nightlife safaris? Those are the best kind. So you see, South Africa is a safari from beginning to end. You want safari? We'll give you safari.
And South Africa's people are really what bring the destination to life. And if you've been there already, you already know this. And your decision to spend your vacation in South Africa really makes a difference in people's lives. And people who are genuinely interested to meet you and really happy to welcome travelers that have come so far to experience their country in this warm, authentic, hospitable way. And this is just a way that is uniquely South African. So that pretty much wraps up your update and your sort of menu of experiences about visiting South Africa. So I hope you all will plan to visit soon, and Angela can help you plan all the details and customize your trip from beginning to end. So I want to thank you for joining today, and I want to thank Angela so much for having us present on South Africa.
All right. Thank you so much, Christy. Oh my goodness. So all the experiences, I'm like, okay, I have quite a few different experiences that I want to try out. So definitely so. I enjoyed it. Thank you again. I appreciate it. I don't see any questions in the chat. So I think, with the presentation that you gave, you provided with a lot of information for them. So I guess it's just the idea of figuring out what they want to do while they're there in Africa, South Africa. So very good. I appreciate it. And I love this ending photo. Where is this actually taken?
Is in a neighborhood in Cape Town called the Bo-Kaap, and if we zoomed out, there would be all these different colored houses, so like orange, pink, yellow, all next to each other. So this is where you'll find a lot of the Cape Malay culture. So anybody that visits Cape Town always wants to stop here, and you can go into a spice market, you can do a cooking class there, you can just walk through the neighborhood and take pictures of this glorious backdrop. You've probably seen, if you've seen a lot of pictures of South Africa, you've probably seen this neighborhood featured in a lot of different sort of posts, but yeah, this is the Bo-Kaap.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, beautiful. Well, awesome. Well, thanks again. And you did good with time. So we did, like we said, we wanted to have you here for at least 30 to 45 minutes. So again, appreciate you listening in. And for those who weren't able to listen in, make sure you jump back onto my page and you'll be able to see the presentation available for you later on in the day. Okay. A few things before we end up for the day. I have to have my notes as a reminder. March is my anniversary month. I didn't mention at the very beginning. I don't know why I was just out of it, but it is my anniversary month. And so with that, I do have a special that I wanted to provide for those. What I am giving away is a trip giveaway. So it is a 4-day, 3 nights at the Dreams Royal Beach in Punta Cana. I will provide information on that, and for those who sign up for that, so we'll talk about that. The person who will win that will be revealed at the end of this month. So just whomever signs up, and we'll have that special drawing. So, and then the next thing I wanted to do is remind you guys about the upcoming group trips that we have. We still have a few spots open for our Cheaper Than Therapy annual girls trip, which is May the 18th through the 22nd, which will be in Sedona, Arizona. We have our Couple Escape to the Caribbean, which is October the 10th through the 14th, which will be in Antigua. And our Dubai Experiences, which is October the 6th through the 12th or 13th. Also, with the Couples Escape, we have 8 spots left, and then for the Dubai trip, we have 5. So if you're interested in that, I do have that available on my website as well as in the groups as well. So, and then my YouTube channel. YouTube channel is up and running. For those who have missed the previous series of lunch and learns that I had. Those are always posted on the YouTube channel, so you can take a look and to see about different destinations that you'll be interested in. This presentation also will be later on uploaded on YouTube as well, so you'll be able to see that. And then finally, the next destination that we'll be showcasing for the series will be Cuba. So stay tuned for that. That will be on April the 25th. And we'll be talking about Cuba, learning about that. All right. Well, again, thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking out time in your busy Tuesday. And we look forward to, or I look forward to seeing you again next month. And if you have any questions or questions in regards to South Africa, do feel free to reach out to me. And we'll go from there. All right. Thanks again, you guys. Have a great week, rest of the week, and a nice evening. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Abundant Living Through Travel series. Thank you to our travel partners who shared their time with us today. Until next time, continue to live life more abundantly through travel.